electrodynamics from concept to Maxwell's equations. Electric flux, S is an so consider S is a arbitrary surface. So here this surface is S is arbitrary surface, and it is held in an electric field E. The electric field is shown with horizontal lines pointed on the right hand side. So field lines will pass through the surface as shown in the figure. Now an electric flux of the electric field E through a surface S is a measure of the number of lines passing through the surface. How many number of lines pass through the surface which we held in the field, that will give the flux, that will be called as a flux. So obviously for any surface infinite number of lines will pass through the surface. So to calculate the electric flux, what is done, a component of the electric field perpendicular to the surface is considered. If theta is the, so for that what we do, this is the surface and this is the electric field. So let us draw normal to the surface. So this arrow indicates normal to the surface, and then we see here is that the electric field line, or we can say electric field, makes an angle theta with the normal. Now we can resolve this electric field into two components, one component along the normal and another component along the surface itself. So as angle theta is made by the field with the normal, so we can say the component of electric field along the normal will be E cos theta. Now, obviously, this component of electric field E cos theta will pass normally through the surface. So to calculate the total flux, that means to calculate the total number of lines passing through the surface, what we simply do, we will simply multiply this E cos theta component with the area A of the surface which we have considered. So if electric flux phi through the surface is the, so we can say it is simply flux phi is equal to EA cos theta, where E cos theta is the component of electric field and A is the area under consideration. Now this EA cos theta is nothing but expansion of the dot product of E and A. So we can simply write, we can simply say that electric flux phi is equal to E dot A. Now, in general, when the surface is arbitrary, what we have to do, we have to calculate the electric flux over all the area. So this can be easily done by using concept of integration, in which we take dot product of E dot dA. So what this E dot dA indicate? Similar to EA, E dot A, it will indicate E dot dA means what is this dA? dA is the small surface element of the entire surface. So this E dot dA will indicate flux through the small surface element dA. Now to calculate the entire flux passing through the entire area, we have to integrate this E dot dA over the surface, entire surface. So we have taken here phi E, we have taken here surface integral of E dot dA. So obviously this surface integral of E dot dA will give the electric flux phi E due to the electric field produced by system of charges. Now here you note that this electric field E and the normal to the surface both are along the same direction. They are parallel to each other. Surface is perpendicular, but normal to the surface is parallel. Now let us move ahead. Gauss law in electrostatics. Now we here with this we come to one of the important law in electrostatics, or we can say in electrodynamics, that is Gauss law in electrostatics. Gauss law is an important law, and in fact it is the converse of Coulomb's law. As we know, in Coulomb's law we can calculate the force between the two charges separated by small distance. Conversely, we can by Coulomb's law we can calculate electric field intensity, that is force, for a given charge. Gauss law enables us to determine charge if field E or the flux phi E is known. So it is opposite to the Coulomb's law. According to Gauss law, the total flux phi E through any closed surface. Now here the surface has to be closed. When charge is enclosed by a certain surface, then Gauss law states that the flux through any closed surface is equal to 1 upon epsilon 0 times the net charge Q enclosed by the surface. So we can write again equation here. This phi E is equal to, as seen earlier, the flux is given by surface integral of E dot dA, and which is equal to Q upon epsilon 0 according to Gauss law. So we can state Gauss law as the surface integral of the normal component of electric field over any closed surface is equal to the total charge enclosed by the surface divided by permittivity of the free space. And this Gauss law can be proved by considering simplest charge distribution of point charge, and which is having spherical symmetry. So just by you considering that point charge and the spherical symmetry of the charge distribution, we can easily derive this Gauss law. You have done this in 12th also. Now let us go ahead. Gauss law in electrostatic. Now this is something new as far as electrodynamics is concerned. Using divergence theorem, we can convert the surface integral into volume integral. Now at this point I would like to tell you that there are certain theorems in the vector calculus which are important and which makes us unable to convert various types of integrals into one another. As far as this divergence theorem is concerned, this divergence theorem enables us to convert surface integral into volume integral or volume integral into surface integral. Now, what are these volumes and surfaces? Just now, earlier we have seen that the charge is enclosed by the surface. In case of Gauss law, we say that the flux through the flux due to the charge enclosed by the surface is equal to total charge divided by permittivity. So here the surface which encloses the charge, so that surface is this surface integral we have taken over, that is surface integral E dot dA, and this dA is the small surface element of the entire surface which encloses the charge. Now when surface is closed, that will bound the volume within it. So whenever there is a closed surface, whenever there is a closed surface, there is a volume. So volume is also there. So we can, using divergence theorem, we can easily convert this surface integral into volume integral. So proof of the theorem is given elsewhere so that you can study from the reference books. But as far as our points is concerned, here we know that according to divergence theorem, this surface integral, when converted into volume integral, becomes like this. That is, surface integral E dot dA is equal to volume integral del dot E into d tau. Now, what is this del dot E? Del dot E, just now we have seen this del dot E is nothing but divergence of electric field. Del dot E is the divergence of E, divergence of electric field. And what is d tau? D tau is the volume element. We can assume that the entire volume which is bounded by the surface S consists of sub volumes within it. So summation of all the volumes will give the total volume. So that d tau is the volume element. So we have to integrate this divergence of E over the entire volume. So this is according to Gauss divergence theorem. Surface integral E dot dA becomes volume integral divergence of E, or simply del dot E d tau. Now let us come to next point. Let us move ahead. If Q enclosed, that is total charge enclosed within the volume, total charge enclosed within this volume V bounded by this surface S, is given in terms of charge density. Now what is charge density? Charge density is nothing but, as per the definition, charge per unit volume. Charge per unit volume will be called as the charge density. So simply, charge density is nothing but charge upon volume. So if we write equation for total charge, if we write equation for charge, then that will be equal to charge density into volume. So again here, as usual, we have taken small volume element and the charge density rho. So rho into d tau will indicate number of charges in small volume element d2. To calculate the total number of charges enclosed within the entire volume bounded by these surfaces, we have to integrate rho d2 over the entire volume. So we have taken a volume integral, and this volume integral of rho dt will give the total charge enclosed. Now we can replace, now putting this value, we can write Gauss law as, now using volume integral, because here also volume integral. So we take volume integral of the Gauss law, that is volume integral del dot E d tau is equal to rho. Instead of q we have written this integral, and just epsilon 0 is the permittivity, so that is the constant, so that can be taken inside the integral sign. So we can write a volume integral of divergence of E is equal to volume integral of rho upon epsilon 0 d tau. Now these volumes are arbitrary, and here we see that the volume integrals are equal. So obviously the integrands should be equal. So removing the volume element, we can simply write divergence of E is equal to rho upon epsilon 0. So whatever we have resulted here, that is known as differential form of Gauss law. Why it is differential form? Because it involves derivative. Divergence is nothing but operator del, dou by dou x, dou by dou y, dou by dou z. So it is actually differential. So it is called as differential form of Gauss law. And the Gauss law which we have seen in the earlier slide, that is called as integral form of Gauss law, because it involves integral and here it involves differentials, so it is called as differential form of Gauss law. Now further, now if D is the electric flux density, or we can say electric displacement vector, then we can write this electric flux density D is equal to epsilon 0 into E. This is the usual relation that you have studied somewhere. So D is equal to epsilon 0 E. So replacing this E by D by epsilon 0, or we can write divergence of D is equal to rho, simply because if we take this epsilon 0 on the LHS, then it will become epsilon 0 E. So this epsilon 0 E can be replaced by D. So we write divergence of D is equal to rho, and epsilon 0 is, as I have told you, it is the permittivity of the free space. If medium is different, it will change. Now Gauss law in magnetism. Now as far as electric field is concerned, we know that the electric field lines start from positive charge and terminate on negative charge, but that is not the case with the magnetic field lines or lines of magnetic field. We know that the magnetic field lines are closed. They are closed. They forms the loop. They start from north pole of a magnet and goes away in the environment, in the surroundings, and return back to the south pole, and within the magnet they pass from south pole to north pole. So the point is that the magnetic field lines are closed. So obviously if we hold any surface in these magnetic lines, then what will happen? The whatever number of lines will pass through the surface, the same lines will again repass, we can say, again come back through the surface. So total outgoing flux in this case will be zero. So Gauss law in magnetostatics or magnetism can be simply written as surface integral of B dot dA. So it is again similar to electric flux. It is magnetic flux. Surface integral of B dot dA is equal to 0, because whatever lines goes out across the surface comes back towards the surface, enters back in the surface. That is simply called as outgoing flux is 0. So this is the difference between Gauss law in electrostatics and magnetostatics. In electrostatics, it gives total charge enclosed. On the other hand, here it is 0. Now, this is called as Gauss law in magnetism in integral form. You again, using Gauss divergence theorem, we can easily convert the surface integral into volume integral and write down this equation: surface integral B dot dA is equal to volume integral divergence of B d tau is equal to 0. Or since the integration is 0, the integrand should be 0, because here this volume d tau cannot be 0. It is arbitrary volume. It is having some value. It is finite. But integration is coming to be 0. Volume integration is coming to be 0. That means the integrand, which is here in this case del dot B, that is divergence of B, that should be 0. So divergence of B is equal to 0. This is differential form of Gauss law in magnetism. Now this Gauss law in magnetism states that magnetic monopoles do not exist, and total magnetic flux through a certain surface is 0. Now what is the meaning here? Meaning of this law, del dot B equal to 0 means that we cannot separate north and south poles from each other. Even if we break the magnet into two pieces, again each one of the piece will be having the two poles, one north pole and another is south pole. So magnetic monopoles do not exist isolately. Magnetic pole will not exist. That is the important conclusion from the Gauss law in magnetism.